Sharon saved her supply chain from cyber risk and ended the office goat debate.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day. Waiting for a long time. April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again.
Minutes or so, we have Alex Cantitano right now and David Swerdlick with us as well. Also want to welcome in Brandon Daniels to the conversation. Brandon, the CEO of the supply chain AI company, Exiger. Good to see you, Brandon. I want to talk to Brandon about this. So, Alex, maybe you could weigh in first about supply chains and whatnot. What are we hearing from other countries, if anything? Like, for example, there were a lot of Chinese companies got a workaround last time when there was a trade war. They went to Mexico, but then now they got the tariffs on Mexico. So what are we hearing from other countries ahead of this, or maybe we'll hear from them right after this?
Yeah, I'm sure right after we're going to hear initial responses of we're going elsewhere, or I want to, see how I can negotiate to get out of this. And that's a lot of what we've been hearing going into this is countries are saying, I'm open to talking to the president. We actually saw some success from the Mexican president, about a month ago when she talked to him, and that led to the 1-month extension on USMCA covered products. And so I think other countries saw that success and are thinking, why don't we pick up the phone and try to have a conversation? I think hopeful that the president is seeing this as a negotiation tactic. And that's one of the big sticking points here is we've heard from the White House all day that this is not a negotiation. He wants to keep these tariffs in place and raise revenue for our country. Whereas I think other countries, companies, car companies that are abroad, manufacture parts abroad, they all are hoping this is
I want to talk about the auto companies a little bit. Brandon, if you look, I'm going to put it up on the tablet. I'll draw on this a little bit, but you can just read it. You have one part of a car, as it says here, a simple capacitor's journey through North America. It takes so much. It's not as simple as, oh, this is American made, or this is German made, or whatever the case may be. So, for example, you start, in this particular case, in Colorado, then you're going down to Mexico, and then you're making a couple of other stops in Mexico, and this is simplifying it even more, but then eventually you're coming back through Texas, and in this particular case, you end up in Canada again. So there's a lot to this. And the president loves to be simplistic and round numbers and all the rest, and this is your kind of area of expertise.
Yeah, during the COVID-19 response, Connell, when you and I were talking a lot, there were certain products, certain medical devices that literally saw 30 transoceanic hops between the United States and other countries before they got to a finished good. And so there is a potential here for compound tariffs to sort of scale up the amount of impact that this has on any one industry. But the industries that are going to be most impacted are those industries that have complex products. So obviously auto manufacturers are going to be subject to these tariffs, and specifically foreign manufacturers that are shipping cars into the United States. One of the areas that I'm looking for some surgical amendments to over time is in auto components, though. Because if you can make it so that those end autos are the things that are subject to taxable rates, those end-use goods, and not the componentry, not the raw materials, then you're actually spurring U.S. innovation and U.S. growth and U.S. manufacturing, which I think
Howard
is
Lutnick carrying a sign, by the way? I'm sorry to interrupt you, Brandon, but I think that was. Did you see that, Alex, when you were looking? I think Howard Lutnick, there comes Navarro. We're watching the Rose Garden. I just got distracted. The Commerce Secretary of the United States. They got him setting up signs? That was here comes Kennedy and Rubio. That's it.
He's a jack of all trades,
I guess, well, he could also be the one, David Swerdlick, that takes the blame for all of this if it doesn't go well. By the way, the auto parts, we're hearing the tariff on auto parts would take effect next month in May.
That's right.
Right? It's in May. David, quick thought on this, and we definitely want to get another break in before the top of the hour.
Yeah, I mean, Secretary Lutnick could take the blame if there's some short-term pain, because he's been out on news networks, including this one, cheerleading for tariffs, really making the case, as opposed to other figures in the administration, like, for instance, Treasury Secretary Bessent, who has been arguing for more targeted tariffs. The challenge for this administration is this. When they took the reins on January 20th, unemployment was at 4. The Dow was at 43,000 and change. Inflation was still not great, but it was at 3% on its way down. The price of eggs was lower than it is today. All of those things that people talked about. So if you're going to take a big swing like the president is doing, and you're going to shake things up, it's got to work, or people are going to say, hey, look, we weren't super thrilled with the Biden administration, but you potentially made things worse in the short term. Why did you do that? That's not what you promised.
All right.